right, Coach Tony, Wrestling Podium Performance here, and we're on to another leg day. So onto a whole new program now, basically. So I'll be starting off with back squats as well as doing glute ham raises. So I'm going to be doing little, well, not necessarily like less reps. I'm going to be doing a lot more rest overall in between so that I can do a little bit more weight here. I'm also going to be adding a pause at the bottom of each rep. So again, starting off with warm up, just starting off in my regular shoes. So, I'm not really going to need to warm up the glute ham raises as much, but I'm going to keep going up here. One more warm up in my regular shoes, and then I'll jump into doing it with my lifting shoes. So the reason I'm going to be doing pause squats this cycle is to really work on taking out that stretch reflex. So when you just go down and come up in a squat, you're going to be stronger than if you pause. So I'm taking some of that elastic energy out from the bottom so that the muscles have to work a little bit harder without necessarily having to have as much weight. It also improves that starting strength of a lift. So when you first start coming out of the hole, that very bottom, so anytime you add a pause and you remove that elastic energy, the muscle actually has to work harder. And this way as well, it's also re-ingraining, okay, that hard drive right from the bottom. So these pause squats, I'm going to be doing 245 pounds, sets of 6 to 8. We'll see how it goes. First week of this, I'll probably start with 3 sets. If I'm still feeling good on that 3rd set, I'll go for 4th set. And then I'm also going to be doing the same number of sets, but it's going to be sets of 5 to 6 on the glute ham raise. So the glute ham raise, that's one of the best hamstring exercises you can do. It takes a lot of relative strength in your hamstrings, so how strong they are in proportion to how much you weigh. So the bigger you are, the harder they are, so you need stronger hamstrings. They're also one of the best things for the athletic population to do in terms of hamstring injury prevention, especially in general prep, specific prep phases. You can do them slowly, like I'm going to do it a little slower on the eccentric portion, but then they become, as you get into like a season as an athlete, it's better to go a little bit quicker, do them with a little bit more of a ballistic movement. Here, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be going down under control and then coming up as quickly as I can. Probably won't be all that fast, but the goal is there and the intent is there, which matters a lot in lifting. The intent matters. Not too bad for the first set. Still a little bit of strain, but felt good. So now I'm going to take about 60 seconds. So that you don't end up on a gym fail video. When you're getting in a mixer, you hook your heels in. And don't let go until you know your heels are in. So one thing you'll feel when you're doing these, yes, you're gonna feel it in the hamstrings. One thing you wanna try to do is keep your back and your hips all in line. As you're coming up, squeeze the glutes. You are gonna feel it in your calves as well. One thing I always do, I kind of push my toes as best I can into the steel plate here. At times, I just find it cues things in for me. The reason I'm supersetting, otherwise I'm gonna be taking 2.5 minutes in between sets of squats. So instead of doing that and then doing this afterwards, it allows me to get more work in the same amount of time. So by the time I come back here, I've rested for that 2.5 minutes, and then I've also gotten a set of these in at the same time. So instead of these two taking 20-25 minutes, the two of them combined takes 12 to 15. You're able to get more work in the same amount of time. All right, so I'm only actually going to do 3 sets of the pause squats, but I'm going to drop again to that lighter set weight and just do like 12 again, like last week. Instead of 15 and 20, I'm just going to do 12. All right, so that's it for the glute ham raises. Hamstrings feel good doing these. One thing that can happen a lot as you're doing these, especially when the hamstrings don't have the strength and the strength endurance, you can get a little bit of that, like your hamstrings grabbing yourself, a little cramping or twitching feeling. That's when you know, okay, you're at your limit. I didn't get that today, but it's something to always, when you're doing these, make sure you're always hydrated. One thing I noticed is most people aren't hydrated enough when they're doing these, so their performance is not very good, just because they're not adequately hydrated, and then the muscle kind of grabs as it's trying to go. You get like feels like it's pulled, but it's not, it's just like a little twinge. That's because the muscle isn't adequately hydrated to be able to perform the exercise. Hydration is huge, especially for us up in the northern hemisphere right now, entering the summer months. That's it for squats. All right, now on to the B series. So first exercise is gonna be front foot elevated about 1.25 inches, low pulley split squat. Gonna be doing 12 reps on each side. Big focus here when you're doing split squat. Getting that hip nice and far forward. Oh, nice and forward. Get that knee nice and far forward. Keep the shoulders back, chest up. So sets of 12, gonna be doing 3 sets. And then the prone leg curl, also gonna be doing 3 sets here. Gonna be going with 8 to 10 reps. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be dorsiflex, so pulling my toes up on the way up, and then all the way down, I'm gonna point my toes away. So it accentuates a little bit, it makes it a little bit harder on the hamstrings to actually do the work. So here I just got 45 pounds on here, plus the sled. It's 2-to-1 ratio, so it's really only like 30 pounds added. Opposite arm to leg. Oh. Here we go. Right away, switch arms and legs. Big thing here when you're doing this, there's no rest really, because the cable's always trying to pull you forward. So even at the top, you're having to stay contracted because it's always trying to pull you forward. That's one thing I love about these. Something to really focus on when you're doing split squats. Focus on that front leg. The back leg's just there for balance. It shouldn't be doing the work. You shouldn't be pushing through it. Push through that front leg. You should almost be able to do the exercise just on the front leg. Back leg's just there for some balance. So about 45 seconds, then we're up on here. So I'm still trying to figure out camera angles, especially when I start supersetting. If during the rest of the superset I should move the camera or not, just put a little landmark down. So if you feel I'm providing you any value, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. So one point to make here, start on your weak leg. That way, if you only get, say, 8 reps, you don't end up making the stronger leg even more strong in comparison. I hope that makes sense. So back foot up on the ball of the foot as well. Yeah, really feeling that. You start to get that lactic buildup, the burning sensation. I'm getting one thing when doing low pulley split squats, your glutes will probably feel it more than with dumbbells or a barbell. Especially when you're doing the more quad-centric ones where you're getting the knee nice and far forward. So as you can see there, only could it get 8 reps. The left hamstring was failing before the right, especially on the eccentric component. I am on fire. Whew. Whew. Boy, I'm glad that's over. Because, oh, I'm not feeling well after that. Come on, left side. That's literally everything I got in my hamstrings for this. All right, so last thing for today, seated calf raises. I'll be going for sets of 15, 20 reps here, at least 3 sets. I'm gonna try to get a good, nice little squeeze at the top on each one. This machine here amongst my clients is a love-hate relationship. Okay, they all hate it because it's tough and it's very localized, intense lactate feeling. Like you get a really hard burning sensation in the calves when doing this. The difference between standing and seated calf raise is your calf has 2 primary muscles. You've got the gastrocnemius that sits on top. That's the one you can really see. It crosses the knee and the ankle joint. Whereas the soleus doesn't cross the knee joint. So by bending the knees, you're able to take the gastrocnemius out of the primary, as the primary agonist or the primary muscle, and you can preferentially hit the soleus, the smaller muscle that sits underneath. It's all part of your triceps surae, but that's what sits underneath. And the thing is, it's correlated to better knee health for pretty much every sport. So if the soleus is weak, the knee joint is going to be a little bit more at risk because the lower leg isn't going to be as stable and as strong, especially as that translates down through the ankle and the foot. That's why having a good, strong both gastrocnemius and soleus is critical. And because many sports, you're up taller and whatnot, you can slack doing your soleus. One of the reasons why I got this. Always lock yourself in. Here we go. So one thing here, if you notice, I wasn't grabbing onto the handle. A lot of people will grab the handle and they'll rock back. That's cheating a little bit because now you're throwing momentum back to help lift it up because the fulcrum point is right underneath your ass. So by sitting here and leaning into it a little bit, you're actually placing it so that your calf has to do all the work instead of swinging back and forth. You're not riding a bull here. You're working your calves. And then when you're working your calves, you want relatively short rests. They can take a lot of volume. Think about it. You walk, your calves are working. They are designed to be able to handle high loads and a lot of volume. Well, the reason why so many people don't get any calf development, they just don't do enough calf work. Those old white guy farmers got lots of calf development because they're always using them. So over millions of reps, their calves get developed. I'll be honest, I forgot to count. My post-workout is going to be the same as it primarily has been, but on leg days I add a little bit of carbs to it. So it's going to be ATP Labs grass-fed whey as one scoop, a half scoop of their greens and red superfood mix, about a half scoop of pentacarbs, so that's going to work out to about 20 grams of carbs, and then there's going to be 5 grams of creatine monohydrate with that. If you want 10% off your order from ATP Labs online, at the Canadian and US stores, use code Wrestling10 at checkout. Other than that, catch you tomorrow for the next workout. Coach Tony, Wrestling Podium Performance. Embrace your potential.